Wicked for Good might be a bad movie, depending on who you ask, but I saw it last night, and I thought it was a tremendously effective anti-fascist movie. And if you leave your notions about contemporary US politics at the door for a second, I'd like to make a pitch for it in both red and blue households. Fascism as a term might only date to the 20th century, but the roots of it, leader worship, demonizing and scapegoating opponents, media propaganda, show up again and again throughout our collective history. In fact, I'd actually go so far as to say you shouldn't think you're so much better than holding fascist tendencies. Especially given how frequently throughout history good people have rapidly degenerated into perpetrators of horror as their circumstances have changed. That our nature is populated with better angels doesn't mean we don't also play host to demons. And as such, the work of engaging with a better type of society and politic is work. It's something that we all have to practice as, lest we slip into our baser ways. This brings me back to Wicked, because I've seen enough pink hats and back-to-back World War champ shirts in my life to know that both sides of the political aisle really value opposition to fascism so long as it's one of their collectively accepted examples. And this film goes so heavy-handed on elements that are classically fascist in nature that there's something there for everyone to oppose. And look, it's not that those elements weren't present in the first movie, or the book it's all based on isn't steeped in religious and political themes. But in For Good, the Art Deco world of totalitarianism is brought to life in this very vivid display. And I think in an even more compelling manner, it shows just how enticing the lure of falling in line is. Our protagonists want to say yes. They want to trust their leaders. They're tempted by the personal reward, and they're, afraid of the inconvenience and the social alienation and the very real danger that comes from opposing the regime. That is a much better way to talk about the lure of fascism than a plainly simple, us good and easy and them bad and hard story. And before you point out that, the Criterion collection of the 20 best fascist films would knock this movie out of the water, let me just remind everybody that this is a movie made in large part for children. That's one of the reasons it's such an important piece of anti-fascist work. Even in my yuppie hipster part of Brooklyn, I don't think anyone's showing their 9-year-old the zone of interest. Children's stories set the term for how we bring up the next generation, and their messages are critically important. And the best children's stories, in any medium, the ones that endure in our collective consciousness, Narnia, The Little Prince, anything Pixar touches, are deeply steeped in values. And values are upstream of our politics. Look, Wicked 1 made nearly $1 billion, and For Good has already set the box office record for previews this year, so it's safe to say these are movies that are going to be seen time and time again for decades to come. Multiple generations of kids will grow up watching these films. And I think it's fantastic that so early on in their lives as media consumers, they will get a lovable, engaging story that illustrates the dangers of fascism and our personal responsibility not only to resist it, but to protect the marginalized. And look, if none of this convinces you to go to the theater, let me just add that Jonathan Bailey is very, very good looking. Even when they turn him into a CGI straw man, he's still very good looking. Happy viewing.